Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our dialogue. Probably it's the last session of the day. So let's hope that I'm sure we'll end up on a very high note. And we will be continuing our dialogue around the future of AI, particularly focused on the societal impact of AI. I think throughout the day, we have talked a lot about the AI development. So since the first wave of AI development, I think the topic around AI ethics, AI fairness, and the societal impact of AI becoming a very commonly mentioned topics. Human-centric AI seems to be forming a consensus among many of the stakeholders, including government, academia, and industry. At Deloitte, we believe that the human-centric AI at least has three connotations. One is AI has to be served the people. AI has to empower the people. AI has to enhance the human experience of people. So let's go directly into our conversation talking about the societal impact of AI. If you look back around 68 years ago, the convention of the Dartmouth Conference, in that conference, there seems to be some consensus building around the intelligence of learning or other aspects can be really described or simulated by machine. And it seems to be also that belief is based upon the fact that the machine can really propel the progress of human experiences and human evolution. So my first question to the panelists, to every one of you is, if you're sitting today, obviously we're today, and what is, in your word, describing the societal purpose of AI? Is that different or the same as how people envisioned, back 68 years ago? Maybe I start with Zeng Yuanshi.
Thank you. I like the question very much. In a way that when we are start talking about artificial intelligence, either on the Dartmouth College description, they never talk about, when we have AI, how can we collaborate or coexist with artificial intelligence? And I think this is also true for the Turing test. When Alan Turing said that if a machine, when you talk to the machine, you cannot differentiate, and then that's true human-level AI. But they never talk about when we have human-level AI, how can we, coexist? I think I'm a technical researcher myself in the first place. When I'm working on brain-inspired artificial intelligence. Well, on the other side, I don't like argument in the AI age. I don't think we're in the AI age. It's still a human society. We don't need an AI age. We still need, and also I don't too much like the concept of human-centered AI in a way that I think we should be in an ecology-centric AI. Ecology-centric society in a way that AI help us to realize, the role of human in the whole ecology. AI help us to realize that how to push forward biodiversity conservation. So as a technical researcher myself, I have to say this is why we need to have much safer ethical AI that help us to understand the human society assisted by AI, but not replaced by AI. I think that's very important. For city, we see many of the pictures powered by AI as the future city. I'm not sure whether you see for those pictures, it's very seldom grasses, trees, it's all, man-made. And I think for human society and city, I think it can be half planned, half assisted by AI, but please leave the other half for the human society.
So we are still in the human society, not the AI age. Thank you, Dr. Nitzberg.
I like that very much. I think often about the difference between augmentation and automation. And it seems to me that we are often building a system to replace ourselves. And in that, task by task, we'd like to automate the task and get rid of the human. But I really think that what we mean by human-centered AI is really an augmentation orientation. And we see that in many of these application areas of the large models where you really can't rely entirely on the model, and so you have a combination of a generative AI system and a subject matter expert, or an AI system and a user working together. And I don't know that this is different from what was originally conceived. I think it may be that even the original the original intuition at the Dartmouth meeting was to essentially create in a machine everything that we have in the way of intelligence, and so that is kind of a replacement. I would like to think we've changed our view, and we're augmenting and elevating, and that's my view.
Yeah, thank you for the question, and it's such an interesting one. And I think the artificial intelligence systems that we have today are a little bit different from what we used to envision, at least at important moments in the past, although they also correspond to some, I think, science fiction tropes, if you will. But there was a time when we thought artificial intelligence would sort of come out of very careful coding, and it would be almost like the human being would put everything directly into this system and sort of bring the intelligence out of putting everything in there themselves. And recently, over the last few years with generative AI, it hasn't been like that. The training of these systems is almost more like training an animal than it is writing code for the system itself. And I think that's been a bit of a transformation. You know, the psychologist Daniel Kahneman liked to talk about a system 1 and a system 2, where the system 1 was sort of this quickly thinking kind of base model, and that's part of our intelligence. That's almost like the things that are intuitive. And then on top of that sits system 2, which is the more reasoning part. And I think we often thought about artificial intelligence mostly like the system 2. And the way it's turned out is that we have something that looks a little bit more like the system 1 first. And then I think there are questions about what will be built on top of that, and whether that will look something like a system 2. So I think that's been very interesting. And I would just say about training that, you know, this reorientation towards the way that we think about training, the way that we think about the production of intelligence that is artificial is very interesting. And I think it can be useful to think in terms of this animal analogy. You know, some people in the field say that, well, right now we're training animals that we largely have control over with reward. But we can also imagine how difficult it will be to train a system that gets ever more powerful with reward. You know, you might say to yourself, suppose we wanted to train a bear to do things, and we have a sort of a cookie jar, and every time the bear does something we like, we say, good, here's a treat. You know, the bear eventually might say, well, I see where the cookie jar is, and I'm going to go straight for that. And so the sort of training techniques that we have may not scale up. So I think these are things that we don't know, but these are sort of analogies that we're using that go along with our changing understanding of the technology.
Very interesting. Mr. Sun.
So in the last year, many people were impressed by ChatGPT. It looks like the computer, as if it can pass the Turing test. It can talk to you, can hear your voice, can see the video. It looks like the science fiction movie Her comes true. The AI operating system can even have a romantic relationship with people. So, but after 1 year development, we realize the current AI system, like Robert says, it is just system 1. It lacks the reasoning capability. They don't have the system 2. That means it can, the current capability of an AI system, they are able to understand what you are saying and translate into some actions. So that means it can improve the human-computer interaction. So I think this is the most successful use case of current AI system right now. And, but if we train the model to have more reasoning capability, probably the AI system can do more. There are some kind of good use cases today, like research and data analysis. So the AI can help you do some research to find more valuable information from massive data. Probably like it can help you to do drug discovery. And it can translate your language into SQL, into machine learning algorithms or other data analysis tools so that you can do more intelligent data analysis, like for data cleansing, to help you to mine the value of your massive data. And the second use case the kind of AI can do is for automation to improve the productivity. Like today, AI system, we can use AI to translate your language into actions of a machine so that it can control the arm of the machine to like pick up some stuff on the production line.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think obviously in my mind, we hope that AI could be efficiently integrated into the human world, right? That hopefully is the direction that we're going. So maybe continue with Dr. Nitzberg and also Chirag is around, what kind of, from the technology development perspective, from also industry application perspective, when you look at how AI could be integrated in the human world, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the actions that's been taken and what is your expectation, I guess, for the future?
To better integrate, just that I understand the question, to better integrate in the human world.
To integrate AI into the human world, right? Because I think we talk about human-centric AI and how.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is that AI algorithms are already integrated into almost every human activity, and when I think when you think about what you do when you wake up in the morning, I think probably half the world, wakes up and AI algorithms determine what they pay attention to, and so we are in fact at my center very concerned with these algorithms. These are the ranking algorithms that are ubiquitous. They determine the ranking of search results and the order of articles if you're reading the news and so on. And we are looking at how to make a better ranking algorithm, looking at measures of well-being and conflict and polarization. And it turns out that you can find better algorithms. The reason that they may not be as currently as sort of human-centered is that they are serving first and foremost the companies that provide these services. So I think it's a matter of being intentional in looking at the human outcomes and measuring them and making that visible so that we can work together with the companies to increase the
I think, Dr.
human-centered
Nitzberg, that's very
view.
important. I think what you talk about is not to have those AIs to create unintended social consequences, right? I think you talk a bit around that. And Dr. Tarag and Dr. Zeng also want to add a few. Please, Dr. Tarag first.
Sure, yeah. Well, how do we make it integrated more into the human world? Maybe I'll pick one technical challenge and one social challenge. So on the technical side, I think we have the challenge of common sense. So right now, we're training these systems on all this data that humans have created and just getting every last bit of data that we can find from what humans have put out there and digitized. But there's so much that we all know that we don't feel the need to write down precisely because we all know it. And so much that we know about how to navigate the human world is that way. And so we can't really have an AI system that's integrated into our world, the world that is really the part that is most us, that we really all share, that we haven't felt the need to articulate and digitize yet. So I think that remains a huge technical challenge for artificial intelligence systems. And then I guess maybe on the social side, we have the challenge of governing this technology. We have so many challenges there, and one is that as these systems become ever more powerful, they're simply democratizing the ability to do things, which is wonderful. They're democratizing lots of things, the ability to learn things, the ability to do things in the world, but of course that also means doing things for good and for ill. So I think if we're going to integrate these systems, and probably artificial agents are coming in the not too distant future and that sort of thing, we're really going to need to develop rules for how we do that, and that means internationally also, because in some cases the things that are done in one part of the world will have great effects in another part of the world. So this is really a common challenge for all of us.
Thank you. And Dr. Zeng?
Yeah, I think just now we mentioned whether the role of AI in the human society, how can we collaborate? And also we mentioned, reasoning, common sense. Actually, I wanted to fundamentally challenge whether the current AI could do reasoning and thinking. Simply because we started the quest on the question, can machine think? And then you suddenly realize, I think, therefore I am. But you cannot say, you think, therefore you are. So when the machine is thinking, it has to be with a sense of self. And then see what the large language models is doing now. When you're asking questions, and then they say, oh, I think, I suppose, I guess, I would recommend. But what I would like to say here is that there's no I, there's even no me in the machine. So the machine is trying to mimic human, and then to try to persuade you to trust it. But when they say based on larger scale data analysis, the result shows, and then you will never, trust them. But the problem is really the role of AI in the human society. In a way that the current AI is still a larger scale information processing system. It can assist a human, but not replace human decision making, and it cannot have negative, impact to your decisions fundamentally. So don't trust AI as you trust your friend. There's a great example that I thought at the beginning of large language models. When you say, oh, I think I don't have a girlfriend, my family don't like me, I don't have a job, so what should I do? And then large language model will try to persuade you. Then they say, I would suggest you could die, simply because most people with this constraint, statistically, they choose the action, to go to die, simply because they never understand what do you mean by dying, by life, by friend, and by suggestions. So really, for the current AI, I'm not saying for super AIs, they cannot, do better decisions than human. But for the current AI, when they're still a statistical analyzer, so please don't, imitate human in a way that try to persuade human to trust you're a responsible agent, you're a moral agent. So it's not. So for now, human cannot give up their decisions, give up their roles when interacting with human, when interacting with the world. So currently, what I see really is that humans are giving up their rights and their responsibilities in the real world to be replaced by AI. Well, you cannot, simply because it's still a tool.
Well, this is a very interesting dialogue. I want to continue assuming, and I'm sure this hopefully is the fact that, like Mr. Wang Jin talked about, technology brings the positive aspects, is the optimism. It's in that, and I believe in that. So how do we, because the train has left the station, basically, it's moving on. So how do we make sure that during that process, the government, academia, industry could play certain roles to ensure relative fairness, efficiency, and this also requires a lot of social transformation even for humans as well. How does those parties will play a role to ensure the outcome is much better, the outcome still benefits, I'm sure it is, to the human world? So maybe, Mr. Sun, I want you to start.
So I think in the coming 1 or 2 years, AI system will be integrated into many areas in human society. Lots of applications are already existing. So some applications will benefit, but some applications, they are already do some bad things like fraud, like some such kind of bad things. But I think the government probably need to create some benchmark test, so that probably some safety tester, some safety benchmark test, so that all the AI systems developed by companies, they can pass the safety test, so that to make sure the AI system will not do any harm to human or misguide to children. For the deployment of AI systems, like for the users and then the companies who are using AI systems, I think probably government or the industry could come up with some guidelines or some mutual understanding, so that they are using AI system properly.
Thank you, thank you. Any other panelists wish to add to this question? Any other answers you wish to? Dr. Trog?
I can very quickly. There's so many things that we need to do from a governance perspective, and I think putting the onus more on companies to demonstrate that their systems satisfy some properties like safety and fairness and inclusivity that we want these systems to satisfy. I think right now we're not emphasizing that there's really a need. I don't say everywhere, and I think it's somewhat different in China and in some Western contexts, but in many places there's voluntary requirements, and maybe that's something that we need to think about a little bit. We don't say in every sector, like to a car company, what do you, car company, think safety standards should be? And, oh, that's very interesting. Well, it's just voluntary if you want to follow those or you don't want to. So I think it's important not to regulate too early and too quickly and too soon. And so that's very sensible that we are a bit deliberative. But on the other hand, I think we need to move past the voluntary stage.
Thank you. Dr. Chen?
Well, I wanted to pick up the idea of AI safety work here. I think for the government and also the industry and also the academia, we really have different roles. So this is why I think the current move on, let's say, for the AI Safety Institute owned by the government, it's somewhat not enough. It's really need a complementary way to do it. So this is why in China, we're having the AI safety network instead of cooperation network, instead of the institute. Simply because for frontier research in China, it goes for Peking University, Tsinghua, and also Chinese Academy of Sciences. But when it comes to industrial evaluation, and then it comes to Ministry of Information and Engineering and Information Technology, and then for catastrophic and frontier research, it go to academia again. So but for policy research, frontier policy research, for the next, let's say, decades, it goes for the government. So every stakeholders has its own role, and having one national institute that does not really solve problem. So this is why in China we have the AI Safety Cooperation Network that bring all the energy together and to distribute and collaborate in a networked way instead of having the institute. And lastly, but not least, I would like to say for sustainable development, that by having these 17 different pillars, now most of the effort is focusing on AI for healthcare and AI for education. And guess what? Guess why? The reason is that you can make a lot of money from AI for education and AI for healthcare. But what about the rest of the 15 pillars? No one cares about it. And now here comes the role of government and academia again, because for near term, you cannot find many financial profit for that, but the government and academia has to push forward a lot together with the United Nations to solve the problem for the world. So it's really a network of efforts for the future of AI in the human society.
Yeah, it really echoes a lot about the theme of this conference, to work together of the collaborative governance and working together. So last question, very quickly, I think our time is up. Maybe one or two sentences or some keywords of your callings or your expectations, calling for actions or expectations for the future around how we could continue to advance AI to truly make benefiting the human race and to have really a better life, to really increase and enhance and improve the quality of life. Dr. Zeng first?
I wanted to be the last.
Okay, you wanted to be the last. Okay, Dr. Nitzberg then. You want to go first?
Since we're out of time, I'd just like to say that I saw a graph up on this huge screen that was the 45-degree graph.
Yeah.
It said we're going to split. We're going to spend half of our energy and our resources on safety and half on advancing. And right now we're at 98.2, so we have a little bit of a change to make. Yeah. But I do see a path, and I'm optimistic.
Great. That's a high note. Thank you. Dr. Trager?
Well, I would just say three things that I'm excited about are AI for basic science. I think there's just so much limitless potential there, really. My grandfather spent a lot of his life working on the basic science of malaria in pursuit of a vaccine, and I think often about the ways that things that he was doing can now be automated to really go after that science. Also, international governance ecosystem, I think, is just, we cannot get around that. We need it. And then I think general purpose AI, as the person from Jipu AI was also emphasizing, there are just limitless ways that can transform our societies for the good.
Thank you. Great. Mr. Sun?
Although current AI is still in its early stage, consider the potential of AI. I think for the companies who develop AI systems, probably we should draw a line to ask those companies not to develop skills for like some dangerous skills like radiation, nuclear, chemistry skills. For the use of AI systems, I think probably we still should draw a line for some areas, probably AI system have the potential to do damages to human. Probably that areas should be forbidden to use AI.
Yes, it has to be purpose-led. Great. So, Dr. Zeng?
So what should we do about future AI? I think starting, I would like to say for the UN General Resolution, having a safe, secure AI for sustainable development led by the United States. And then you see several days ago, the Chinese lead AI capacity building for international cooperation. You also see, the efforts on AI safety communities starting from the Berkley Declaration in the UK. So basically, we're having the most representatives of most powerful artificial intelligence in the world. But what really counts for the future is really that can we collaborate? So I would propose that for the speakers here, that we hold hands together for human and for the future. So Mark and Robert
Okay, so
and Yuan Hao, and of course you.
Yes, yes.
So we must collaborate for the future, for AI, but for the human society as a whole.
All for good and all for all. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.